Subscribe to MY channel. The loud sound of the C-130 plane engines was still ringing in Brandon Welch's ears as he stepped onto American ground after being gone for 11 months. His boots hit the ground at Fort Benning with a heavy thud, the kind that only comes from carrying 80 pounds of gear across the cold mountains of Afghanistan. He had survived 27 missions. Not everyone from his team came back, but he did. Coming home felt strange after so long in the mountains. Brandon picked up his bag and walked through the terminal with calm, careful steps. He did not waste movement. Around him, other soldiers hugged their families. Wives cried. Kids jumped with joy. Parents smiled with pride. Brandon searched the crowd for the two faces that mattered most to him. They were not there. He pulled out his phone. It was dead. After charging it at a nearby station, he turned it on. There were no messages from Marcia. No missed calls. Nothing from his father-in-law, Stanley Flynn, who usually picked him up. There was only one message from a neighbor, Mrs. Chun, asking him to call her right away. The fear that had stayed with Brandon during every mission came back strong. He called her. Mrs. Chun answered immediately. She sounded scared. She told him Leo had been alone for 3 or 4 days. She had brought food, but the boy refused to come inside. He was waiting for his father. Brandon felt cold all over. He asked where Marcia was. Mrs. Chun said she was gone. Everyone was gone. Brandon barely remembered the ride home. His thoughts focused on one thing only: his house. The house he bought so his son would be safe. When he arrived, Leo was sitting on the porch beside a large suitcase. He looked small but strong. When he saw his dad, he broke down and ran into his arms. Brandon held him tight and promised he would. As home now. Leo told him Marcia had left a note. The note said they were moving to Florida. It said Leo was not part of their family and never had been. Brandon read it again and again. Leo told him Marcia took everything. She took her things and Craig's things too. Craig Zimmerman had been around often while Brandon was deployed. Leo said his mom told him not to tell his dad. Brandon stayed calm for his son. Inside the house, everything was gone. Furniture, TV, silverware, memories. Only cheap items and Leo's room remained. Brandon cooked eggs for Leo and watched him eat slowly. The boy looked tired and thin. Brandon asked Leo to tell him everything. Leo explained that Stanley, Marcia, and Craig met secretly at night and talked about Florida and starting over. Leo believed his grandfather was doing something bad. He showed Brandon a thumb drive. Leo had copied his grandfather's phone files when they were packing. Leo said his mother told him he was no longer needed. She said awful things about Brandon. Leo wanted proof. Brandon looked at the files. There were lists of stolen money, fake insurance claims, and fake deaths. Brandon's own name was listed. He was supposed to die on his next deployment. They saw proof of many deaths. People murdered for insurance money. One of them was Leo's real mother. Brandon realized going to the police right away would not work. The evidence was taken illegally. Criminals would escape. Instead, Brandon decided to take action carefully. They flew to Florida. Brandon studied everything. He copied files and stored them safely. If anything happened to him or Leo, the truth would be sent out. They stayed in a simple hotel and acted like tourists. Leo asked questions about his mother. Brandon explained that Marcia and Stanley were criminals who used people. He promised to find the truth. Brandon called old military friends. They helped gather information. They tracked Stanley's cars and watched his house. They learned everything. Craig had a wife who didn't know about Marcia. Her name was Virginia Zimmerman. She was a lawyer. Brandon met her and showed her proof. She agreed to help. They planned carefully. Leo stayed with trusted friends. The first move was simple. Craig lost his car, his money, and his accounts. Virginia froze everything. Stanley and Marcia fought with Craig. Panic spread. Brandon watched it all. More people were exposed. Stanley's helpers were investigated. Marcia's nursing license was reviewed. Everyone turned on each other. The money was taken back and returned to victims' families. Brandon learned the truth about Leo's real mother, Patricia Meadows. She had been murdered. Her sister had been searching for her for years. Brandon promised to tell her everything when the time was right. Finally, Brandon went to Stanley's house. He faced them all. He played recordings. He showed proof. He told them he had everything. He explained that Leo was smarter than all of them. He made them sign confessions. They gave up everything. Federal agents were called. Arrests followed. Leo returned and asked if it worked. Brandon told him it was over. He told Leo the truth about his real mother. Leo cried, but he was proud. They met Patricia's sister. She welcomed Leo with love. She gave Leo his family history. She gave up the stolen money so Leo could have a future. The trial came. Stanley went to prison for life. Marcia and Craig were sentenced. Justice was done. Brandon and Leo went home. The house felt clean again. Leo grew confident. He made friends. He planned for the future. Brandon healed slowly. One evening, Leo asked if they would ever be normal. Brandon said normal didn't matter. What mattered was that they survived and stayed together. They were family. That was enough. Please subscribe.